Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. I never imagined I'd be posting on Reddit, but here we are. I've spent most of my 64 years being the type of person who swallows her hurt and keeps the peace, even when others trample all over her dignity. But something broke this Thanksgiving, and I still don't know if it was me, or if it was the illusion I'd spent years holding on to. My name is June. I'm a widow, retired teacher, and mother to one son, Adam, 36 male. Adam is my world. He was born after 6 miscarriages, a decade of failed fertility treatments, and the devastation of believing I'd never be a mother. When he finally arrived, I poured everything I had into him. Every scraped knee, every school recital, every heartbreak. I was there. I was always there. When my husband Peter died 10 years ago, Adam was my anchor. He moved back in with me for a while. We grieved together. We healed together. He was thoughtful, helpful, and supportive. Even as he got older and busier with life, he still visited weekly, called me when he had news, good or bad, and always brought me a coffee when he came over. That boy was my heart walking around outside my body. Then came Melissa. Melissa, 31 female, now my daughter-in-law, swept into Adam's life like a tidal wave. Gorgeous, stylish, and painfully blunt. She worked in PR and had a way of making you feel like you were either lucky to be in her presence or not worth her time. When Adam first brought her home, I made my signature roast chicken, set the table with the good china, even wore makeup for the first time in years. Melissa looked around, smiled faintly, and said, "This place is so vintage." I laughed, thinking she meant it as a compliment. She didn't. From the start, I felt like a guest in my own son's life. She had opinions about everything, how I talked, how I dressed, even the way I made tea. Adam changed around her. He became quieter with me, more cautious and cold. Where he used to call me for advice, he now texted, "Busy, we'll call later," and never did. He still loved me. I believed that. But he began to orbit her like she was the sun, and he was afraid to get burned. The wedding was a turning point. I was told, not asked, what to wear. I was seated at a table with Melissa's distant cousins instead of Adam's family. I wasn't invited to the bridal shower because it was just for girls she was close to. Still, I paid for half the catering, bought them their dream espresso machine, and smiled through the whole thing. Because that's what moms do, right? In the years that followed, Melissa called me only when she needed something. "Hey June, we're a little short on rent this month. Could you help us out just this once?" "June, we're behind on the car payment. Adam's job was late with payroll." "Hi, I found the cutest crib, and it's on sale for $800. Could you maybe pitch in?" They don't have kids yet, by the way, but she is sure she will get pregnant during her next fertile days. It was always framed as a favor, always just this once, and always followed by radio silence once the money was transferred. I've given them over $15,000 in the past 4 years. I didn't keep tabs. I love my son. I wanted to support him. But it was Melissa who asked, every single time, fast forward to this past Thanksgiving. Every year, my sister Ann hosts a big family dinner. My brother brings the turkey, I bring dessert, and we all gather in her big cozy farmhouse to eat, laugh, and catch up. It's tradition. My desserts, banana pudding and pecan pie, are known in our family. Adam used to sneak spoonfuls of the pudding before dinner as a kid. Everyone looked forward to it. This year, though, my arthritis was flaring. I'd started a new medication, and it made me forgetful and sluggish. So I forgot my dessert. I genuinely forgot. When I arrived empty-handed, Melissa greeted me at the door, gave me a once-over, and said loudly, "Wait, Where's the dessert? That's literally the only thing you're supposed to bring. I laughed nervously and said I'd forgotten, but would make it up next time. She rolled her eyes and said, in front of everyone, "Figures. You really are just a useless old woman now. Time to start looking at nursing homes, huh?" There was silence. I looked around and saw some uncomfortable smiles, a few lowered gazes. Adam didn't say a word. My heart shattered. That's when something inside me, years of quiet endurance, of swallowing disrespect, of giving and being invisible, snapped. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, calmly but firmly, "If that's how you see me, Melissa, maybe you should stop calling this useless old woman every time you need money for groceries, or to pay your bills, or whatever your crisis of the month is." The room went still. Her jaw dropped. Adam looked at me like I'd just slapped her. Melissa stood up, red-faced, and said I was attacking her and being cruel for no reason. She claimed it was just a joke and that I was overreacting. I gathered my coat and left. Later that night, Melissa posted a cryptic Instagram story. "Some women pretend to be sweet grandmas when they're really bitter old witches. Smile through the pain, ladies." With a filtered selfie. The next morning, Adam called. He was furious. He said I'd humiliated his wife, that I should have addressed it privately, and that Melissa had been crying all night. He demanded I apologize. I asked him, "Did you think I deserved an apology when she mocked me in front of the entire family?" He was quiet for a beat and then said, "You know, Melissa has a sarcastic sense of humor. She didn't mean it." I told him sarcasm isn't funny when it punches down, especially at someone who's helped you for years. He said I was making this all about me, that Melissa was under a lot of stress because they are trying for a baby and I took it the wrong way. Then, with the calm of someone completely unaware of how hurtful their words are, he said, "You're blowing this up because you don't like her. You've always had issues with her success and the way she does things. Maybe you should look inward instead of lashing out." That's when I lost it. Not yelling, I don't yell. But something inside me froze over. I told him I was done. No more money. No more rescuing them from bad decisions. No more bank transfers for emergencies or opportunities. I wasn't a bottomless well they could dip into whenever Melissa overspent. He hung up on me. Since then, I've gotten a text from Melissa. One sentence. "I hope you're happy destroying our family." I haven't responded. I've received mixed responses from family. Some say I was right to stand up for myself. Others say I should have let it go to avoid family tension. But nobody, not even my own son, has apologized. So now I'm left wondering, was I the a-hole for snapping? For choosing dignity over peace? For refusing to be disrespected in front of people I love? Maybe I should have handled it differently. Maybe I should have waited until later to address it. But I was done being the silent punching bag in the name of family harmony. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter-in-law to stop calling me for money after she called me a useless old woman who should be in a nursing home? Or did I finally do what I should have done years ago? Not the a-hole. OP's daughter-in-law has been draining OP financially while disrespecting her publicly. That's not just a joke. That's the kind of sarcasm people use when they think they're untouchable. The fact that OP's son said nothing when she insulted OP in front of the whole family tells me everything I need to know. Melissa doesn't just want OP's money. She wants OP's silence and OP's obedience. Good on OP for finally standing up for herself. Honestly, OP should have cut them off years ago. And now let's hear community's opinion. Time to go to a nursing home while she's been calling you for handouts. The audacity isn't just bold, it's generational. This woman tried to break you with a Thanksgiving one-liner and got mad when you clapped back with facts. And Adam, he's not just spineless, he's willfully blind. Melissa weaponized your generosity and turned it into an entitlement plan. Not the a-hole, and please don't back down. Let them cry into their unpaid credit card bills. You didn't just stand up for yourself, you reclaimed your worth. For too long, your kindness was seen as weakness. That woman had no problem treating you like an open wallet while mocking your age and contribution. It wasn't just rude, it was calculated cruelty. And your son letting her do it? That hurts. I hope one day he realizes the difference between keeping the peace and enabling abuse. Not the a-hole. You taught them boundaries, finally, not the a-hole, and I need a tattoo that says, "Stop calling me for money if I'm such a useless old woman." That line was pure gold. You turned years of passive-aggressive disrespect into one moment of poetic justice. Let Melissa whine to her Instagram followers. You did the right thing. You don't owe them your retirement, your dignity, or a damn apology. Update. It's been 6 months since the Thanksgiving incident where my daughter-in-law called me a useless old woman for forgetting dessert, and I told her to stop calling me for money if I was so useless. I thought maybe things would calm down with time. I thought my son, Adam, would eventually call to check in, maybe try to patch things up. But no, not a single word. 6 months, not a phone call, not a text, nothing. Then 3 weeks ago, I fell down the stairs in my backyard and broke my leg. I ended up in the hospital for 5 days. My sister called Adam and told him what happened. She even sent him a message with the hospital's name and my room number. I waited every single day for him to call, or visit, or something. He never did. Not a single word from my only child while I was lying in a hospital bed with a broken leg. And you know what broke more than the bone in my leg? My heart. That was the moment I realized the son I raised, the boy I carried in my arms and stayed up with through fevers and nightmares, the young man I supported through college applications and his first heartbreak. That son no longer exists. That person is gone. What's left is a stranger with my son's face who treats me like a burden, or worse, like a wallet he can't access anymore. So I made a decision I never thought I'd have to make. I rewrote my will. I took Adam out of it completely. I don't owe him my house, my money, my savings, nothing. If he can't even call his mother while she's in the hospital, he doesn't deserve anything I've worked for. Instead, I've decided to leave everything to my niece and my sister, the people who actually show up, the ones who actually ask me how I'm doing and don't see me as an ATM machine with gray hair. My sister, bless her heart, is the one who told Adam what I'd done. She thought it might snap some sense into him, maybe make him realize what he's lost. It didn't. He called me 2 hours later, not to apologize, not to ask if I was okay, but to scream at me. He yelled so loudly I had to pull the phone away from my ear. He accused me of being dramatic, of holding grudges, and told me I was bitter, jealous old woman because I can't accept that he has another woman he loves in his life. I sat there in silence, clutching my crutches, listening to the fury of someone I no longer recognize. It's like he's become a completely different person since marrying Melissa. The kind of man who lets his wife mock his own mother and then expects me to fund their lifestyle like nothing happened. He ended the call by saying, "You'll regret this one day when you're gonna be all alone on your deathbed." But the truth is, I'm already alone. I don't know if he'll ever come back to me, emotionally, mentally. But for now, all I feel is grief. Not for what I did, but for the person I loved who clearly doesn't exist anymore. So, a little backstory. My mom, 55, and dad, 57, got a divorce when me, 30 male, and my twin brother, 30, were 13, due to our dad having an affair with our stepmom, 47, and got her pregnant with our half-sister. After the divorce, my dad married his wife, who was horrible to our mom, and it got worse when she realized that we were never going to see her as a mom in our lives. And they had 3 more children, and my stepmom had 3 daughters already. Their father had died 2 years before the affair, so they were excited to have a new dad. During the divorce, my paternal grandparents were not happy about the affair and did everything to make sure my father and his new family knew they were not welcome. They were not openly hostile, but it was obvious when it was noticeable when we would get things that they wouldn't, or get invited to things they weren't. So on to the reason for this post. My grandparents, dad's parents, are wealthy, think old money. In their family, there's a tradition that when you get married, you and your spouse are gifted a set of jewelry to pass down to your children. When I married my husband, we were both gifted 2 sets of diamond cufflinks and a pair of diamond studs, altogether worth about $200,000. They also paid to have our house built when they found out we were expecting our own set of twins via surrogate. I know, spoiled. Now, my twin is getting married to his longtime girlfriend. My grandparents are paying for their wedding. They offered to pay for mine too, but my husband's parents paid for it, so that's why they built the house. My oldest stepsister, 28, is also engaged, and her wedding is scheduled after my twins. She and her fiance aren't as well off, but my dad is paying, but not as much, because he's still got to take care of our younger siblings, and my stepmom is a stay-at-home mom. Here's where I might be the a-hole. We were having dinner with my dad's family, and you could tell my stepsister and stepmom was upset about something. My youngest brother asked her what was wrong, and that's when she got upset. Apparently, she had asked my grandparents the color of the jewelry she was getting for her wedding. Now, they don't have a relationship with her and our other two stepsisters, and do not think kindly of their mother. They're only around them when it's a big family event or something for my half-siblings. So they told her she wasn't getting anything like that, especially how she behaved when the affair came out, and she made it seem like me and my brother should have chose her mother over ours, which was not happening. So she also asked about money for a house, because again, my father can't afford it. Again, they said no, so her feelings were hurt. Plus, they're not even going to her wedding. I couldn't hold it in, so I laughed, and so did my brother. Later after dinner, my dad texted us saying we were a-holes, which I can see it. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She's your stepsister and not even related to them. They've made it clear their disassociation with your step-siblings. How do they get the impression that this is suddenly going to change? It was a little unkind to openly laugh, but if it was sprung in front of you with no warning, I can understand it and, to a degree, excuse it. Not the a-hole. Who do these women think they are? I mean, even if they were better people, she still shouldn't have expected anything not being true family members. No offense to your family, but that's how old money works. You keep it with your natural family members. So, nope, that was funny. I laughed too. Not the a-hole. Sounds like stepmom and her daughters are gold diggers, and when they saw the old money of your grandparents, they thought their ship had come in. Personally, I would tell grandparents this so they can take precautions in their wills to ensure that those women never get their hands on a single red cent. I, 26 female, have an older brother, P, 34 male, who got married to B, 28 female, after they graduated college. Together they had 2 daughters. My brother wanted B to become a stay-at-home mom to their 2 kids. B worked part-time for a while, which my brother claimed caused him a lot of mental stress, because he would have to care for the kids occasionally. I've always been close to B. She even introduced me to my future husband, her little brother. She has always been a super kind and genuine person. B and I have been best friends since we met in middle school. Eventually, B quit her job and became a stay-at-home mom. After B began staying home full-time, P began going on business trips for weeks at a time, including making B go to her dad's funeral alone with the kids, because he had an important business trip that weekend. B later discovered my brother was sleeping with another woman, Z, 23 female. After she found this out, my brother drained their shared bank account and moved in with Z. After the divorce, B was left with 2 young kids and no money. Throughout all of this, my brother has been completely useless and downright horrible to B, because he wanted a fast divorce since Z was pregnant and they wanted to get married. 2 weeks ago, P invited me to his and Z's backyard wedding. The date it was set for was April 2nd, and he constantly called me begging for me to come, as he wanted me to be a part of his wedding. I told P I have no intentions of going, after I firsthand witnessed how poorly he treated B. P said that I don't understand what it's like to be married so young and not get to experience the fun years, and that I'm being unfair in choosing B over my own blood. He emphasized over and over again that at the end of the day, he is all I have, and spouses come and go. Well, I ended up skipping the wedding. My husband said he didn't care if I went, but he wasn't going to go no matter what. B also said she didn't care if I went, because P is still my brother. But my parents have been calling me selfish and saying that I have backstabbed the family by not supporting my brother. They also said I needed to suck it up and just be supportive of P. P refuses to talk to me, but his new wife Z has been messaging me on social media, saying I'm a huge a-hole and should feel sorry for myself for picking his ex over P. I feel like an a-hole now. I know what he did was horrible, but I can't look P in the eyes knowing what he did to B. I really don't know if I'm being unreasonable in this situation. Am I the a-hole? Z, the marriage breaker, is calling you an a-hole? She trapped a married man with her pregnancy, and she's calling you an a-hole. I suppose she can't stand the sight of people with real values such as yourself, as she looks so trashy next to them. And your brother, cheating on his wife, the mother of his kids, forcing her to stop working and then leaving her penniless with the kids. They actually deserve each other, not the a-hole. Wouldn't have wanted to witness that disaster either, not the a-hole. B is your family too, as she's the mother of your nieces and nephews. Your brother acted horribly and showed his true colors. You are showing yours by not supporting his and his new wife's immorality. The fact that they are harassing you now just shows their characters even more. I wouldn't want that type of person anywhere near me. Also, your brother said he missed his fun years by marrying young, and his solution to this is to impregnate another woman and enter into a new hasty marriage? Sounds like a real genius. Not the a-hole. Your brother is a cheater. He might be right about marrying too young, but it is not a reason to cheat and treat your partner like chopped liver. And divorce to marry your pregnant affair partner is just backyard trash. Your parents became a-holes when they said you backstabbed the family. From here, it looks like they forgot that the two kids caught in the middle of this mess are family too. This is ridiculous. The new wife. I mean, we don't know how they met and if bro told her he was married before it was too late. And I am ready to give her the benefit of the doubt. Even so, she became an A when she started berating you for siding with your friend and sister-in-law. She will be a nightmare. I, 31 female, am somewhat close with my cousin, 29 male. We will call him Brad. About a year and a half ago, his wife left him and they started co-parenting both their kids, 7-year-old twins. Brad took this really hard because in his mind, he did everything the right way. Got married, bought a home, provided financially while his wife was a stay-at-home mom, etc. His wife had a long-term affair and left him for the other man. It's been hard on him, and we all have tried to be supportive. Well, his sister, my other cousin, 28 female, just had her third baby. Now, I will admit she is probably not in the best position objectively to have a baby. Her and her husband are really financially unstable. They have to move a lot due to evictions and struggle to stay employed. However, stuff happens, and the baby is already here. My cousin told me herself that the pregnancy was not planned, and she was taking birth control. Is it a great situation? No. But they decided to keep the baby, and I think all parents deserve emotional support. Last weekend, I planned a dinner for us all to get together to have dinner and celebrate the new baby. She's a few weeks old at this point. Well, for some reason, Brad decided to make snide comments during dinner about the fact that my other cousin had another baby. At one point, he said, "Too many people have babies they can't afford," while staring directly at his sister, and at another point he said something about people without jobs should lose their children. I think it's relevant to add that Brad was going out of his way to make these comments. It didn't flow in the natural course of conversation at all. Eventually, the other cousin excused herself and left, and I could tell she was really upset. After they left, I followed Brad into the kitchen where we were alone, and I said, "Was all that really necessary? You just embarrassed her in front of everyone." And he said, "She's irresponsible and she needs to know that. I don't care if it hurts her feelings, it's true." Then proceeded to go on a tangent about the right way to do things. This is where I kinda went off. I told Brad that clearly the right thing to do doesn't always work out, since he did just that and his wife still walked out and left. I told him that she was his sister, and the baby was already here, and he needed to get off his high horse and have some damn empathy. He went off. He started screaming at me about how dare I bring up his ex-wife, and my husband came in and told him he wasn't going to scream at me in my own house, and he needed to either calm down or leave. Brad told us both to duck off and left. My family is mostly siding with me, saying that they were uncomfortable during dinner because of Brad's comments, and that he has no room to tell other people what they should be doing. My aunt is siding with Brad, though, saying I shouldn't have thrown the divorce in his face. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, assuming your aunt is Brad's mom, aka a Brad apologist who enables him to stagnate in a place where he is such a bitter a-hole that he can't pick a proper time or place to address his concerns about his sister's life choices, and instead wants to do it openly and at a time meant to celebrate her. He probably gets all kind of ego stroking from her and is treated like a very special boy while his sister struggles, and he can be super son. Gross. Not the a-hole. Brad was being an a-hole, and we have no background in the post on whether he's generally a better person than the impression this leaves. But if so, and you want to save the relationship and or his mental health, I might suggest that you suggest to him he get into therapy, because the blast radius of his cheating wife leaving him now has him being indefensibly mean to other people, and you hope this isn't the person he is becoming. Not the a-hole. He is being very judgmental and needed to be brought back to reality. Everyone has their own crap. Unless he is financially supporting his sister, it's none of his business how many kids she has. I'll start off by saying that I, female 35, am not very close to my sister, 45 female, and my brother-in-law, 48 male. We are just very different people who choose very different lives, and because of the age difference, we weren't close growing up. We live about 4 hours apart and maybe see each other in person once every 2 to 3 years and talk a handful of times a year. So I was very surprised when my niece, 16 female, called me out of the blue to tell me that she was in the town I live closest to and wanted to know if she could stay a while. I figured she was having some teenager moments with her family and drove into town to grab her. When we got home, I called and then texted my sister and told her that niece was with me. I just got a K response, which furthered my suspicions that they had a fight. She had been here for about 3 weeks, and things were going okay. I'm not used to having kids around, but she was a teenager and didn't need supervision. She seemed to be pretty quiet and withdrawn, but I don't know this girl, so it's not like I have any idea what she is like normally. Well, a few days ago we were having dinner, and she told me that she was pregnant. Her parents had kicked her out. She wanted to keep the baby, and her parents disagreed with her, to put it mildly. I told her that under no circumstances would I live in the same house as a newborn, and even if I wanted to, we live far out of town, and she didn't drive, so logistically, it would have been a nightmare. We argued, but I told her she was going back to my sister. I called my sister, and we argued, quite heartedly, but I told her I was putting her back on the bus the next day, and she better pick her up or I was going to call CPS. My niece has been back with my sister for a couple days, and the entire family is pissed at me, of all people. My niece is especially mad and has texted me a few times to tell me how much she hates it at her family's house and that I'm cruel. Edited to add, I did try to go over different options with my niece, but that was what led us to arguing. She only wanted to stay here and have the baby, but I told her that wasn't an option. Not the a-hole. It would be exceptionally generous to take in your niece, but it's not your responsibility. Your sister isn't being a good parent. Not the a-hole. Not your kid, not your responsibility. You helped her out for 3 weeks, which gave her space from her parents, and that was very nice. You didn't want to live with a baby, and your location would make it hard even if you did. Don't let anyone guilt you into changing your mind. Your position is valid. Not the a-hole. Sure, she's your niece, but in reality, that's just the title since it doesn't sound like you even had a relationship with your sister, her mother, to begin with. You let her stay with you for 3 weeks. That seems to be lost on a few of the commenters, which was already nice considering you barely know her. She got pregnant and wants to keep the baby. Good for her. Now she needs to grow up and figure out how she's going to make that work. You aren't her parent, and it's not your job to solve that issue for her. Her mother needs to step up, and if not, then somebody else who actually knows her. I'll try to keep this as unbiased as possible. Last year I was planning to buy a home as I was tired of renting, and me and my boyfriend were going to move in together when I did so. I found a home and ended up needing to purchase rather quickly due to the real estate market being insane. I ended up needing about $6,000 of the $15,000 that was for the down payment, closing costs. My boyfriend was agreeable to helping and transferred the money to me and had to do a gift letter and all that. My name is the only one on the mortgage and the deed, as I make a substantial amount more income, and he has a new business that has only been in effect for a few months at that time. I did ask him if he felt comfortable with the arrangement, or if he would like some sort of rental agreement so he could feel like his interests were protected. He said he felt fine about it. Monthly, he paid $600 total in rent to me, while I took care of the rest, including all the utilities and whatnot, totaling around $1,500 per month, give or take a little. So, fast forward about 6 months or so, and we have some struggles personally and decided to split up. Immediately, he is asking me about the $6,000 from the down payment back. At that time, financially, not only do I not have it, I'm struggling to make ends meet with him moving out. I tell him it's not possible anytime soon. My real question is, should I even feel obligated to pay that back to him? We never discussed it previously. The gift letter explicitly states that it is not a loan and not expected to be paid back. I don't know. I hate the idea of owing anybody anything, ever. but I'm not sure how to feel about this. You're the a-hole. A gift letter is a red tape thing you have to do so that the bank doesn't see it as a loan, which it was. Dude gave you the ability to buy a home you couldn't afford the down payment on by yourself, paid rent so you could pay your mortgage, and you don't think you owe him anything? Mate, even if you can't pay it back in a lump sum, start paying it back. You're the a-hole. You did a gift letter because that's the hoop you needed to jump through to get your mortgage. You're not legally required to pay it back, but you sure are morally obligated. You're the a-hole for buying a house that it sounds like you can't afford without him. He put down about 40% of the down payment, and you admitted that you can't afford the house without him. It sounds like you want to have your cake and eat it too.